again. It is Tourney Ground number, what is this, 22 now? And
Looks like it.
yeah, I am joined by Carlo, as always. But of course, I've got a special guest today who we are going to cover his stuff first. I've got a man from France, of all places. It is Shabaloo. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fine. Evening, everyone.
Great, 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 great. So, um, Shabaloo, you've just been taking part in the French TTS Masters, and you also did some stuff like streaming with them, and I believe, if I remember rightly, you're doing commentary on some of the games. How did you find it? How did you find the event? When did you enjoy doing the streaming, things like that, playing? Go on, tell us all about it.
Uh, to start the history at this beginning.
Yeah.
We French people, French player, wanted to make a tournament at a high level,
Mhm.
and because we saw another cup on TTS without French player, and we thought it is. Why? So we wanted to do our tournament, and we started thinking about it with Bob Bernard, you know him, and another player, and to gather French channels who speak about the game, and we tried to do that organization and to start the French TTS Master. So the idea behind that was to do the community work together, with training, commentary, playing first for sure, but to work together.
No, I
think
it was really good. I know that I watched quite a few of the games. I turned up to quite a few of the streams, and I got to see obviously and you were right, different communities working together, different channels, and I thought it was really interesting that it was like every different stream there'd be different players from, like, you'd have players from some of the games commentating on other games, and then it would be like, oh, we have Bob Bernard commenting on this one, and then you might be communicating with someone else on this particular game. So I was always getting not just like a commentator's perspective, but the other players in the tournament as well, like giving us a rundown. Now, obviously, it was all in French for the most part, which is great. It's a French community event. It's a French tournament. I can't complain at that. But massive, massive props to you guys and the other guys out there who put on the English streams for the final and the third place match. That was really good. So
to give you the courtesy back, because you spoke about our tournament, so it was fair to stream in English, so the community around the world, maybe, or the English spoken community could see what we do in France.
No, yeah.
What we do with our game, our beloved game.
And that's what matters, right? That's what matters the most, actually loving the game. Because,
Nicholas, I wanted to ask, the French community as a whole seems so big, so active, so strong. What do you think? What do you think makes the French community so strong and so active, and what do you think's allowed to be the French to be so active and strong at the game in general?
At start, first of all, it was some streamers, some YouTubers who launched the game in France, and after that, we started to play. And we started to play on the four corners of France. And with YouTube and other channels, we see we are not alone in our corner. And we've done we participate with the Master of Westeros. You you've heard about that event, the 100 player in Paris in
Yeah.
March, last March.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Master of Westeros was massive. Carlo was still finishing the site, this stats site at the time, like making it public, and like during some like the early stages of stuff, weren't you, Carlo, back then?
Mm-hmm.
And Master of Westeros obviously ran, and I remember me and Carlo were actually, well, Carlo was definitely following it along, and he obviously told me about it. And we ended up kind of like watching the results, looking at the results, looking back at who won, who did well. Um, and I think, is it right, Carlo? Did you actually end up going back and putting all those results in to generate a load of stats?
Yeah. Masters of Westeros formed actually the major set of statistics that it was built on up until TTS came along. I mean, Masters of Westeros is still actually probably the majority of tabletop games that have ever been submitted to the site. Still the most games that have ever been played in a weekend on a tabletop in A Song of Ice and Fire, pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a huge tournament. So do you think Chablu, that was the French community really strong before that event, or do you think that that event really catapulted A Song of Ice and Fire into being big in France?
I think that event was a start. A start not for the players, because we already played the game, enjoyed the game, followed the update, and played on tournament at home. But that event was a start for something for us to think that we are a community, because we look for players about four corner friends, even from Germany, and starting there, uh, without saying between each other, but some channel will started the corner, the free hide raven, you know. The name is translate. Le Barateo, Walou Miniature. Some YouTube channels started after that, and the community grown, and you know, like offspring, you know. It was amazing after that event. And the COVID,
of course,
I have to say, was for us. It's paradox, but it was the reality. The COVID and TTS was a bridge, you know, a bridge that can link everyone in the game, and continue to that we know each other, and we continue to play. Okay.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Okay. So coming back to the tournament, to the tournament itself, it's one of the first biggest tournaments that have actually managed to run with Mother of Dragons, and you particularly you used Mother of Dragons not once but twice. How did you find having Mother of Dragons in the tournament? How did you find playing with her yourself? I know your semi-final was actually a Targaryen mirror match. Bob Bernard chose not to play Mother of Dragons himself. You know, how did you find her impact on the tournament, and what do you think about her in general?
First, the impact on the tournament, it's obviously massive, because you saw that Targaryens go in final and in semi-final. Without Mother of Dragon, I can tell that maybe one of two, maybe Bob will have to go on semi, but Mother was a massive improvement, a huge improvement for the Targaryen result. But she's not a Targaryen way of playing, you know. She's an island in the middle of ocean of despair for some Targaryen player.
I like that. An
And
island in an ocean of despair. I love that. Go on,
yeah,
go on.
yeah, yeah. She's alone. She's alone, and your stat site tell it every day. Every day, I looking at her growing up through to the top, and I'm saying, yeah, okay, she's alone. Because if you want to play another Targaryen style of commander, you don't get that result.
Yeah.
The dragons are the point. We can discuss if you want. We discuss the dragon and the strength. They are known, but there are some weaknesses too. But yes, for the players who struggle against that, first of all, I will say they are brave because it's not so easy. And secondly, it's it's hard because you can do whatever you want when you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
Now, there are some weaknesses. There are some weaknesses. If you see the final, you see maybe with a more aggressive play, you can go through the horde of free fork, but you have to think twice to protect Mother of Dragons. So there are inbuilt weaknesses that made Mother of Dragons really strong, but sometimes you can go through and you lose.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes it will be catastrophe if you don't protect Mother of Dragons, but you have to make some choices. Do I go full attack, straight ahead of my enemies
Yeah.
and his unit? Or do I want to get some backup to protect Daenerys?
Mm-hmm.
It's not so easy to play.
Yeah.
Maybe everyone saying it's crazy. It's easy to play. You push the button and you flame everything. But I don't think.
That's fair. That's fair. I think, highlighting there that obviously, it's not just a simple put it on the board win. You do actually have to think about what you're doing. And I think that that's quite important, highlighting the different play styles there. Did you enjoy playing with dragons?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For sure.
Yeah.
For I don't do so. I won't lie. It was a pleasure to play with.
Yeah.
But
The question we always have to ask is, did your opponents enjoy playing against dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what can I say? It's part of the game, the state of the game right now. I hope, even take some pleasure to play with. I hope they will be toned down for the next edition.
Well, there you heard it here, folks, guys. It's not just us who think they should be toned down. Chabalou and the French guys over there as well. And Chabalou ran double Mother of Dragons, and he is sit here telling the world that yes, Mother of Dragons does need toning down. So yeah.
Yes, it's mandatory if you want to keep the game the idea the developer wants to.
Mm-hmm.
To I can say that.
Right.
So you turn down the lethality of the unit. You get on durability. So you have to do something for dragons. Direct reads, it's not affordable on the Nerf world, the new Nerf world. Because of the new rules, of the panic, you have to turn them down a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Because if not, you will displace the actual problem with Stark. Sorry for Stark player. It's just my opinion, but you will display that problem on the dragon's on their shoulder.
Hmm.
And she's so tiny. I don't think she can't wait the problem, you know?
Yeah.
She can't just for saying that, but you have to. If you want the game to be fair, if you want the game to be competitive and open for everyone, you just have to pull out one or two fans of the dragons, and maybe it will be good.
Okay. Well. Yeah. No.
Well, it was
Brilliant.
an absolutely brilliant event,
Yeah.
and I'm really, really pleased that it was, made visible through A Song of Ice and Fire stats. You know, I'm really pleased that I'm really pleased with how much amazing battle report content that got made. So I'm looking forward to more from the French community. Looking forward to when Masters of Westeros can hopefully make a return for a real tabletop event, and looking forward to the future for all that stuff. So
Yeah. And maybe, depending on what on earth the world looks like in 5, 6 months or 2 months or whenever this world will get to the point where we're allowed to step outside again, you know, we might even be able to meet you, Shabaloo, in Masters of Westeros, and actually meet you in person, and play against you on the tabletop, which would obviously be the best moment, I think, for us anyway. Brilliant. Was there anything you wanted to end on?
I knew Mickey was going to threaten that. You know, Mickey doesn't actually leave his house. You know, like he's always making threats that he's going to turn up to one of these competitions. Never happens. It's
Never
not
happens.
It was a threat. I don't take it for a threat, just an invitation.
There you go, just an invitation.
An invitation, not a threat.
Oh, fantastic. Was there any final things you wanted to say, Shabaloo, or I'll obviously let you get away and join your family for dinner?
Yeah, just the last thing, to thank everyone who played, streamed, comment, help us relay the information as you done. And thank you for inviting me tonight.
It's all right.
Thank you for that you do every day, every week with the game, with the stats, and I hope we'll go through that situation, and I hope we'll do a big tournament. I don't know when.
No.
I don't know who organized that tournament. I don't know if sorry. It's time for me to hit. Maybe a Master of Westeros 2, but I don't know. I don't have the information now. But we'll please to see English players in France.
And
shout out to your government. You just banned all travel from the UK.
yeah. Because
you banned every single one of us.
It's not our fault.
No, it's not.
You know, it's not.
It's probably our fault, to be honest.
Yeah. When the COVID will be a bad memory, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully
Definitely.
soon. Yeah. Soon enough.
Yes, it will happen. It will happen. Yeah. The question is when, but it will happen. Yeah. I'm hoping for that, and everyone hoping for that. And when it will happen, we will organize a big event to tell everyone, go in France. We will do the party with the new version of Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
And it will be great.
Yep. I can't wait.
I think it's going to be great. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. It's been great to hear from the French community. Love to hear everything that's going on. So I'm sure we'll find out more soon.
Definitely. We'll catch up with you later, man.
Thank you so much.
Take it easy, buddy. There we go,
right.
Carlo.
Mickey.
Yes.
We're gonna come back. We're gonna come back to the French Masters, but we have to, you know, answer the chat who are loving the haircut. Well, actually, I don't know if they're loving it. They're talking about it.
They are talking about it. Yeah, I had a haircut.
It's a bigger deal than it should be, right?
Yeah, I know,
Mickey
right?
had a haircut. Doesn't he look great?
I do look absolutely
He
fantastic. Shall I take my headphones off just so you
he
can
paid
see?
somebody. He paid somebody to do that to him.
Yeah, I did, right? I paid somebody to do this. I'll take it off so you can prove that it is all over, not just I'm not just like wearing a wig or something. Look, there you go. No.
Oh,
Yeah, I had a haircut because I needed a haircut. Been 9 months.
to be fair, we have been telling him he needs a haircut for about 9 months. So
Definitely.
Anyway, French Masters.
Yes.
Super interesting tournament. In terms of its results, I was super interested to see how Mother of Dragons did. I did think she was going to win, but like we will find out. Good free folk are definitely an issue for her, and good Starks are an issue for her. The 1-2 final and the 3-4 final, the run-up final, was Free Folk Mother of Dragons and Stark's Mother of Dragons, right? And they got split. They went one of each way. So it's definitely as Shabaloo mentioned, it's still absolutely a skill-based thing to play. It's not any of that, but she is definitely up there being talked about with these absolute power lists, which took a long time to establish themselves. She's straight in there.
Well, he said it. He said it himself. That quote that I picked out from what you said there. An island of hope in an ocean of despair. And I think that really
Very
does
much so.
actually sum up. I mean, the fact that he came up with that on the spot like that, and you just said that in the way that he did, I think just sums up really where the Targaryens are right now. And we spoke about it a couple of times. We've got this weird situation where he is, or she is, just far above the rest of what the Targs are doing.
So not the same anything. It's not. You're not playing with the same faction, really.
No, and he said that.
Playing with the same faction deck. You're just playing with the same faction deck, and that's the end of the similarities.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that isn't just us saying it. When the French community are coming out and saying it, and they're the big people, the only tournament that we've seen out there really that have been running Mother of Dragons consistently, so far. I think that says everything you need to say. Interestingly, and not one I believe that was shown on stats. I saw someone on the Discord group. I can't remember. Valani, I think his name is. I think it's how I pronounce it. I have no idea how I pronounce it actually. But he said he'd won a local tournament, and the tournament he was at, he won. I think he's only playing. It's only a small tournament, like 3 or 4 players. But the point is, he took Mother of Dragons and he won, and he beat Starks, he beat Baratheons, he beat everyone there, relatively comfortably. He said. And
Well, when we look specifically at the results, when we look at the commanders, Free Folk did very, very well, but to see Targaryens up there. But, I mean, when you look at the commanders, so Harmer, 7 of 7, big result.
Yep.
But other than that, you've got a couple of 1 of 1s, and then you've got 80% win rate with Mother of Dragons. That is such a reversal of, I'm pretty sure the last tournament we talked about, Targaryens had a 19% win rate, right?
Should we go check that?
They used to win 1 in 5 of their games, and now they win 4 in 5 of their games. That's a diametric opposition of where they used to be.
You can see their Targs sitting at the tournament results there, 64% win rate for the tournament, and you see 2 Targaryens in the top 3.
Because every time you don't play MOD, you lose.
You can't see it on the screen, but in 14th place with 3 games, 3 losses, Drogo and a Queen of Marine combination for Targs. Didn't win a game.
Hey, look,
didn't run.
I'll hold my hands up. The last time I was wrong about something, A Song of Ice and Fire, I would say, is when I said that Queen of Marine was going to be good. She's not good.
Because the rest of the deck just isn't there to support it. And irony being that if we saw anything, we saw Bob Bernard run Queen of Marine against Shabaloo.
Yeah.
And was that the only time? Let's double check. Yeah, that was the only time where Queen of Marine looked strong. Was against effectively the mirror, and he still lost. Queen of Marine still lost that game, but it was 11-10. and actually the counter plots and some of those cards coming out for Bob Bernard allowed him to really leverage like how he would score victory points from the Mother Dragons.
I do. Yeah, it was a very aggressive start. I watched that game. It was a very, very aggressive start. Aggressive counter plot play, and just really aggressive positioning. Aggressive Illyrio use really early in the game. Yeah, it was interesting game to watch. But Bob Bernard has been playing Targaryens as Targaryens, not Mother of Dragons. He's been playing them into really, really difficult matchups for a long, long time. He's very, very skilled with that ocean of despair that Jabaloo was talking about. He's been swimming around in that ocean of despair for such a long time. And he can play both ways.
Yeah, definitely.
And yet he still wasn't good enough to beat MOD on the day. He came as close as I've seen anybody do with anything other than Starks and Free Folk, though.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting, Groose there, Craig in chat, just saying that he likes Queen still. So do I. I quite like Queen of Marine. I think I've kind of theory crafted some builds with her, kind of like briefly, and I talked with you, Carlo, wasn't it? Actually, I think we had a chat about it, talking about little builds and things you could make. And the end of the day,
you can push
there
high
are some
activations.
Yeah,
you can push high activations. You can't
make a good list.
Necessarily get much quality.
Yeah. But there's something there. There's definitely something there, I think, with Queen of Marine. But I just don't quite see where it's at. And maybe Bob Bernard's list is perhaps something you should take some inspiration from.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I wanted to pick out here, Night's Watch, who've been on a bit of a rise. Like, Night's Watch as a whole have been doing quite well, right?
Yeah.
The big takeaway from me in this tournament, obviously Mother of Dragons is the main talking point, but Night's Watch made up 25% of the field, by far the most picked faction. And actually did. Now, you could argue this is down to individual players playing in poorly, but actually, in the end of the day, these Night's Watch average rating of probably around average position of an 8 or 9 in a 16-player tournament is fair enough. But when your highest position is 6th and your lowest position is 13th with only 1 win and 2 losses, these Night's Watch lists just don't appear to be doing very well. Offal played 5 games across the whole tournament, didn't win a single one. Maybe Night's Watch maybe these players perhaps aren't as good Night's Watch players as we've seen the stats suggest. Maybe the builds weren't necessarily right.
Yeah, I think Night's Watch needs some time and needs some work. I think that the Watch Marshal is so important for them. Both ways. His attachment is very powerful. His solo is very powerful. When to use which, how, whether you're using one of one and one of the other, or 2 of one type, or how much and how to use them, I think is defining the faction right now, and that will take more time for people to get good at than putting Mother of Dragons on the table. Because Mother of Dragons, the reason why Mother of Dragons is actually so fast to become powerful is because you almost can't get the list wrong, because most of it's written for you. And you only have to learn how to use one unit, and it's called a dragon, and you have it 3 times, right? Once you've learned to use one dragon, you've learned to use all 3. Whereas the Night's Watch, they have a lot of competing things going on that you need to learn how you're going to use it to interact with all these things. So I think it's nowhere near as instantly good as Mother of Dragons is. That doesn't mean it can't be as good. And actually, I think that the Watch Marshal can threaten Mother of Dragons quite a lot, in terms of spacing, high activation count, all these things. If you can keep them protected and alive long enough, then John and Ghost, their current combo, if it survives, who knows if it's going to survive changes and stuff like that. But its current denial of tactics cards is very, very important versus Fire Made Flesh and all that kind of stuff. I think that they actually have a toolkit that can play into Mother of Dragons, but it's way, way more complicated than just putting Mother of Dragons on the table.
Yeah, definitely. I actually think I saw Rossi's list. I think I said this last week. but Rossi's list I saw in running Night's Watch was not too dissimilar to one of Solitva's lists here. I think it was Solitva's, or it might have been Viking Tony's, maybe. No, I think it was closer to Solitva's. You run Swarm Brothers with John. He ran Naked Crossbows. He ran Ghost, obviously. He ran Trackers with a Watch Marshal. He ran a solo Watch Marshal, and he ran a unit of conscripts. Then I think it was it was Amon, Craster, and Corrin. And actually, that setup I saw was quite impressive. He ran double Watch Marshal, one in the Trackers, one in solo, like Bruce said in chat there. And out-activated. I put Mother's Dragon. Honestly, I played a practice, like, we didn't have time for a full game. We played like a practice round or two, and I put Mother Dragons on the field, and I felt in this weird scenario. I felt if I just run the dragons around together in a little group, I don't easily see how he's going to win, and I can kill pretty much anything I hit. But if I split the dragons up in any way, shape, or form,
yeah,
like I was at one point, I split them up, and I was like, whoa, hang on, he's easily going to kill one or two dragons this turn. Like he's not say easily, it wasn't exactly easy for him, but he had the opportunity to do that. And I was I was impressed by the list and thought actually if there's a list out there, that list, because it's got so much healing as well. God, so much healing. It is there, and I think in the practice game I end up killing Ghost, and of course he stand until my death came out, and obviously passes, and that's it. I've just wasted a dragon activation, and I've basically done nothing.
Whole activation, and you only really have 4 of them. Per round.
So we'll see.
I mean, when we're playing with all these powerful lists, when people are playing top tier lists, you need your opponent to be thinking, God, my opponent's dangerous. And that's that Night's Watch are in that discussion now, right? I think they're one of the hardest factions that can be properly dangerous to play. It's still one of the most complex to play. You're looking at the most complementary units trying to work in tandem, and that's really good. That's really skillful way to play, really interesting way to play. But it's nice that they're in there, that you should be scared of. You should be scared of a well-piloted, well-commanded Night's Watch force right now. And it's all down to the Watch Marshal. He massively changes the whole dynamic of that army.
Definitely. We'll see. We will see, because I think Night's Watches, there is some options there now to make them strong on the international scene. So yeah. Looking at other stuff then. So we've talked a little about the French TTS. We talked about the results there. The thing we forgot to mention, because Chablis was on and he needed to disappear, is we had some news coming out of CMON, obviously. If you aren't aware by now, then you probably need to get out from under the rock and go and check out on CMON's site. But they've obviously had the Visions in the Flames and the Greyjoy tactics and Greyjoy stuff coming out. I will pull them up on screen. We're not going to talk about them at length, obviously, but we will mention them, because why not? So we had the Captains of the Iron Fleet and the Faction Identities tactics cards, wasn't it, come out? So the Captains of the Iron Fleet, we saw Asher, Victorian, and Balon. If you haven't checked this out, there's a guild reaction video, over on West Coast Bannerman's / the guild's YouTube channel. Go check that out. We go through and talk about all these. What are your thoughts about the 3 we saw?
Yeah, they're 3 commanders who have quite different playstyles, or at least quite different rules. It's hard to know how much impact that will have and whether or not it will really carry through to their playstyle. I think Victorian looks super powerful, super interesting. He's Gregor commander, like on steroids, maybe. And I always said if Gregor existed in a faction other than Lannisters, people would really care. So we'll see. Obviously, we're not going to see. I still maintain that we're not going to see instant impact from the Greyjoys. Right? They're not going to come in and start defining the game, in my opinion. You know, could be wrong. Have been wrong once in the past ever. Have been wrong in before, but from what I've seen so far, you know, yes, I'm not going to tell you that this faction is bad or going to be bad in the future or like isn't built well. You know, it has some low cost units. They're super powerful right now. Those archers at 4 points look like really good value, but they don't have all the components needed to come in and make a splash. No faction ever has since Night's Watch. So you know, let's wait and see what really happens in the way that they play.
Definitely. It is interesting. I think there's some interesting. What I saw, and I think this is what's so important, is this might just be new eyes looking at things. When I saw the three commanders, I obviously think Victarion's probably the strongest. Kind of like, say strongest. He's probably the easiest to just get out of the box and play. I don't necessarily think he's necessarily going to be the strongest in the long run, but I saw Balon, I saw Asher as well, and thought, I know how these things are supposed to work. I can see how they're supposed to synergize with different things. I can see where the current reveals we've had fit with the certain things we see here. If anything, what I was kind of like overly kind of like taken by was the fact that they all seem roughly equal power level. There's no...
Sure.
Victorian definitely stands out to me, and I think stands out to you. But when I say stands out, it's like saying you've got 3 clones, but that one's got slightly redder hair. You know? They're obviously different playstyles, but I don't look at one and think, my god, that is just better. So yeah, at least maybe they've got that right on design side, you know?
Yep.
And the internal balance is there.
I can imagine that they're all viable right now. You know, I'm not looking at them and saying they're terrible or anything like that. The one thing I mentioned in the past, and you know, I'll bring it up again, which is we don't see a lot of native pillage, right? We don't see ways to generate pillage outside of actually killing things. Now, see, the reason why I think that this is quite important, and I haven't actually really expanded on why I assumed it would be in the base deck, and why I think that it's interesting that they don't have pre-combat ways to generate pillage, is the designers, Fabio was adamant that the faction doesn't work well with neutrals. But if you're not generating pillage before combat happens, then why shouldn't I just use neutrals? There's nothing wrong with me running Bastard Girls, you know? Like, because pillage doesn't have to be part of the way I play if it's not part of my tactics deck. If it's not part of my tactics deck, then actually it's an entirely optional thing that units sort of have in isolation. Now, I know the archers can give their pillage tokens out to other people, and yes, that's an interesting, nice way to play, but nothing stops you from just saying, I'll have Victarion in those Bastard Girls, please, and this will be a wreck face unit. Like, so I was kind of surprised. That's an expansion on why I was so surprised that we don't see native pillage. Because if you wanted to force this idea that Greyjoys work with Greyjoys and they don't work with neutrals, then you have to be all about pillage, not just like it's a thing a unit can do.
The funny thing is, you say it there yourself. The kind of like Greyjoy cards that matter, very few of them actually matter around pillage. And if we look at Victarion, definitely he's not got a single pillage mechanic on his cards. Nothing about Victarion says pillage. He will very probably, to put it simply, he will probably generate pillage tokens. You know, I think that's a given. But what does it matter if you've just got a better unit that doesn't need them?
Yeah.
I agree. I do agree.
Yeah. It's just interesting. It's interesting that pillage doesn't actually seem to be as pushed as I thought it was.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people talking, like, because we're talking about the news and stuff like that. So like going way back to Chris's Elite Teddy's comment where we were talking about Mother of Dragons, and he said, "We're lucky we have these changes coming up." He hopes that Mother of Dragons is included. And then we've got other people talking about, 1.7's coming. I hope these things. I'm not in the know any more than other people, but I don't know any special information. But I'm pretty convinced we're about to get 1.7, which is a rule book which has some very small changes in. Nothing else is coming, guys. Like, I don't, guys, everything else is 4 months away. Like, why are we waiting for these faction packs? We think that something's about to happen. It's not. Visions and Flames is obscuring the fact that we're talking about changes that they no, honestly, knowing Simon, it's probably 6 months away. They said quarter 2. That means probably quarter 3.
Well,
yeah, I mean, like, nobody seems to be talking about it. Everybody seems to think that 1.7 is the faction changes, the balance changes. As far as I can tell, it's not. They're completely separate things. This isn't 1.51 where we got a rulebook change and a balance change at the same time. They're, as far as I'm aware, as far as I can tell from listening to things, reading things, looking at dates, looking at what's happening, what they're actually saying versus like them showing you some things. What they're saying is you're about to get Greyjoys and you're about to get a rulebook. You're not about to get balance changes.
Yeah, we'll talk about the visions in a second, but it is worth remembering the visions are, they said Q2. Now, they said in a very early one that it was like a month after Greyjoys or something like that. So I think a lot of people are pinning their hopes on 4 months. 4 months, if we look at April next year, and we say that is when the faction packs come out, and I think, Elite said it there, summed up there, 1.7 is the faction packs. I think for a lot of people, I think that is probably the case, and actually, I don't think that's unfair to say that. We might have an rules update, and we might see changes coming up. But the point is that the real changes don't kick in until everything changes in if you will, full 1.7 with the cards, and that is still 4 months away, and that's a minimum 4 months, right?
Going. Like after going back to this 80-20 that they've talked about or whatever, of like 20% are changing and 80% are being looked at,
tweaked,
or whatever it is. and when you find out some of the changes that are in the 80% of things being looked at, like, guys, every unit practically is getting something changed as far as I'm concerned. Practically no single unit is going to survive this faction pack update. So to think that the Varys that you've seen, the Walder you've seen, the Lannister guards and Pyromancers that you've seen, to think that they're playable currently, or they're going to have any that they should even be tested on TTS, is they're designed for what is. It's not 1.7. They're not going to call it, but to me, it's 2.0. Like, they're 2.0ing the game in 4 months' time, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you redo every single faction deck to the point where you're not even just like changing the ability on cards. Some of the faction cards, most of the faction cards, they're getting rid of them and replacing them with totally different ones. Like Wealth of the Rock is gone.
It seems an appropriate time to bring these up.
That's 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, people, they won't call it 2.0, and I had this conversation online with the guy. Ultimately, it's down to them what they call it, right? It always is down to the designers as to what they call an update. I know this from playing Dota for years, right? 7,000 plus hours on Dota teaches you these things. Balance patches for Dota came out as, what we're on, 7.2, it was 7.27a, 7.27b. Those are the balance changes, right? And you're talking tweaks here, tweaks there. That's what I would call a balance patch. You're making the game more balanced by tweaking stats here, by making this a little bit more powerful, this less powerful, this whatever, and that's how they do the balance patches. And then they have bigger patches. So we've just seen 7.28 come out, and there's been a new hero introduced and some changes here and there, completely new items added, some taken away, things like that. And I remember back in the day, a long time ago, there's a new version came out, and it was a massive version. They completely changed the way Dota was being played. They added things into the game that just didn't exist before. The game was completely different. That was referred to at the time. It was Dota 2, but everyone called it Dota 3. Right? It wasn't. It was still Dota 2, but it was the big patch. That is, exactly as Leet says there. It's 2.0 is a marketing tool. that they'll use when
Yeah.
it matters to go, look,
Yeah.
we're a board game and here's the second edition, which means second printing. That's all second edition means in board games. It means second printing with the updates that we've already given in erratas and everything included, usually.
Yeah.
I
mean, 2.0 does have to come with a new base box, really.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
it's not driven by new rules. It's
not.
driven by new base box, and that probably also launches new faction core boxes as well.
Yeah.
Like, so the knock-on effects are huge. So I understand. Like, I understand
in board
that...
gaming, this is the problem in a miniatures game and in a board game. A miniatures game you can have a 2.0 and actually it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It would just be, I mean, we saw it with Warhammer Fantasy, right? 6th ed come out, 7th ed come out, and these were completely new editions. And actually, your old army still worked. It's just you might not have a updated codex for them yet. Sometimes they didn't work, and that was a problem. But the point is that the new editions didn't change. They changed the game completely, but they didn't change enough to warrant things being unplayable on the most part. With board games, it's completely different. Twilight Imperium First Ed is not Twilight Imperium Second Ed, is not Twilight Imperium Third Ed. They are actually different games. I've played Second Ed Twilight Imperium back in the day, and I've played Third Ed with you, and they are different games.
Mm-hmm.
Same core concept, same basic game, but it's not the same.
But so, like, just so that everybody's aware of what I think's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Is we're going to get a 1.7. It's going to be Greyjoys and some rule changes, which will have some impact upon the current factions.
Well, panic. We already know panic's changing.
Yeah,
they've said
everybody's convinced there's a panic change coming. I believe that they've pretty much spoken that there's going to be keywords in the rulebook, and that may then indicate that some of the keywords are going to change themselves. If you have crit blow on your card and now crit blow's in the rulebook, if it's different in the rulebook, then I think we have to go with the rulebook version. I'm just speculating. I'm wildly going off, but I believe that they are. I've heard that they don't like the way crit blow and precision interact. So whether or not there's going to be a change in the way that crit blow and precision interact with each other could also be a thing that's on the table once they all become keywords that are in the rulebook.
Yeah,
they're the level of changes we're going to see, which is we're going to. Everyone assumes that panic's about to get worse. I think, worse as in do less damage. Everybody thinks that panic's about to do less because we've seen some abilities which massively pump panic up. Like guardsmen under current panic rules look obscene. So surely panic is getting lessened. And everybody's sort of thinking, we know that free folk do too much panic damage. So like you need to lower panic in some kind of way. Anyway, your issue is there. Lannisters are probably going to die an absolute death. They were already only just clinging on for life at the moment in the meta. If you worsen panic, then you worsen the faction de facto. We'll see what it does to free folk, who were the premier panic faction, it turns out, in 1.6, 1.5. Everything to me says that Starks are actually just going to get stronger. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when it arrives. But guys, don't expect some huge changes. We're about to see some rules which have tiny implications upon the game. But we're not going to see a change for 4 months. And
that's the thing. We've still got 4 months left of what we currently know as the game, plus some changes, some little changes. Yeah. And those little changes obviously could be. Those little changes could actually be very important, big factors that end up making a big difference.
Knock-on effect, eventually, depending on the scale of it, it could have tons of knock-on effects. It could kill free folk off, and that therefore means that something else now becomes viable, which wasn't viable. Mother of Dragons now can play because they don't get trapped all the time. Mother of Dragons is now top tier, which means that.
And also don't suffer from the panic changes, by the way. Worth remembering they won't suffer from any panic changes. Just just remember that one.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Anyway.
the cards
So,
themselves.
I just wanted to talk about that because people keep talking about changes are coming. We got practically winter is coming meme of changes is coming, but they're not.
Well, they are literally coming. They are on the way.
They are.
But it was the same way that
They've pulled a bamboozle by making the Visions in Flames come out at the same time as something that's coming out really soon. But the Visions in Flames are talking about something that's coming out in half a year's time.
We say that though, but they said Greyjoy's Q1, and the Greyjoys are being released a month before the faction pack cards, they reckon, and they reckon the faction packs is Q2. So we've still got 3 months to wait before Greyjoys. So Greyjoys aren't even coming out soon. I think that's another misnomer that you've got to kind of get through, is that Greyjoys aren't actually coming yet. And let's face it, guys, if we know when Greyjoys are coming out, this man over here is getting one of the first boxes because he won the tournament prize, the hilarious giveaway. So if anyone knows when they're coming,
I don't think But even if it comes directly from the factory by Simon Logistics, I think I'll be one of the last, not the first to get it.
But the point is that at least, I'm not saying you'd be the first to know, but if we knew they were coming out soon, we'd know.
If I get it early, I'll show you right here.
Yeah,
you'll get my views.
Unboxing on stream.
Tangent, loads of tangent there.
But it is worth noting this stuff is coming, but it's not soon.
It's definitely coming.
Yes, but it's not going to be here tomorrow. And everyone's saying about the haircut again. All these new people coming back on talking about the haircut. Yes, 9 months without a haircut, guys.
I went and did it. Mickey. It's noteworthy.
Yeah, sure, Greg. I enlisted. Yeah.
Yes. Mickey's off to the military.
Yeah. And then Craig noticed something I was going to say as a little aside. It is a bit awkward, isn't it, Craig, to have silence from so many people in the community and so many of the famous big names and all the developers and everything. It is interesting that there was a silence and a deafening silence, if you will, that was only really punctured by the 2 cons we had, the Asia Expo and whichever one it was. I can't remember the name of the other one. Wow.
One was the Simon Expo. Simon
Expo and Asia Expo, right?
Simon Asia Expo and Gen Con. Was it Gen Con? Gen Con online?
Yeah,
it was Gen Con.
Yeah, Gen Con. So we saw 2 expos, all within the space of a week each other.
Gen Con competition happened.
We won't talk about that. But the point being is that we saw those happen they punctured the silence, if you will, and then all of a sudden we're getting all of this content coming streaming back in. The developers, and I'm not complaining. We're the people who sat here complaining that they weren't doing anything, so we definitely can't complain that they're doing things now.
I can.
Yeah, no, you will, because you're just a pain. But the point is that they're doing all this content and it's fantastic. It's great to see the developers actually showing an interest in the community. And unlike before where they were doing silently, they're letting people know that they care. Yeah. What I'm worried about is that they did that at the same time, and all of a sudden you've seen some of the other big people come back and say, "Oh, look, guys, we didn't leave, honest. We're coming back and the game's doing fine." And the people on the ground talking to the communities out there, we just talked to the French community. We talk with the German community all the time. We talk with a lot of the player base online now. It's myself and Carlo, and that's not the case. The game isn't in a good place right now for the people online.
What I'm concerned about most with it is again not to hugely labor this point, but if these faction packs 2 are coming out in 4 months, is there going to be silence again between
now and then?
This 6th Visions in Flames or whatever it is, because they pretty much said that here's an intro, here's the 6 topics we're going to look at. Once we get through those topics, are we going to have silence again up until then? Because definitely people have this is the thing, I'm kind of talking about, people have this expectation that once the Visions and Flames stop, the product comes. But if the Visions and Flames stop and then there's 4 months until the product we're in, and if that's an expectation that people thought that the product was going to be here by now, we're actually we could be in for a really rough period if people think that. And again, like, you know, at 1.5.1 or whatever, they said in 1 year's time we're going to balance the game again, and it'll be 1 year since then, and people will be like, where's my balance changes? And they're going to say, oh, actually the next quarter. And so they need to do something. They need to continue that community outreach, shall we call it?
Yeah.
that community contact. They need to maintain that throughout, but they've set such an aggressive pace with 2 a week.
Yeah.
I don't know how they keep that up. I don't know why they haven't. I don't know why they haven't given us Greyjoy spoilers once a week up until Greyjoy's coming out, and then given us Visions and Flames once a week. From then on, the two things could have spanned a much bigger period and would have kept people just as involved.
I mean, I'm not complaining. It's nice to see the content coming. It's just whether or not that continues. And it's, I guess the point I was going to make, and not to be negative, because, you know, we do love this game, but we saw nothing, and now we see a glut. And whether or not this is a sorry we weren't doing it before, guys, here's all this stuff, you know, please don't leave, kind of like, look, this is great. Fantastic. I'm not complaining there's all this stuff. That's great. You know, me and Carlo hugely involved in the game. We're not complaining there's loads of stuff. But, as you said there, Carlo, following a glut comes another famine.
Yeah. I'm super interested. I've just seen Bartender saying that Asmodee Germany were streaming an interview with Fabio on Twitch. I'd not heard of it at all. Yeah, that is super interesting. I might have to go and read about that to find out more about what was going on.
Yeah, it was. I watched
in
part
English.
Of it.
I assume Fabio doesn't speak German.
Yeah, no, it was in English. And it was Asmodee Germany. It was streamed on the Asmodee Germany Twitch channel. And if I bring it up very quickly, let's see if I can find it. The long and short of it was he was just talking about it wasn't really anymore.
Was it about Song of Ice and Fire, or was it about Simon more generally?
It was about A Song of Ice and Fire.
Because Fabio is developer, not the lead. Is he called lead developer for Song of Ice and Fire? I forget.
I think so.
He's not. He is involved in other Simon titles too, right? So
don't worry, this isn't them just playing code names, which by the way is a great game, a great party game. But no, so I'm not going to take you through it, guys. If you haven't seen it, you know, we have Lux, this guy called Helga, and Fabio, all talking about it, and I believe it's about an hour long in total. Of them chatting.
So these two guys on the left, are they Asmodee guys?
Yeah, Lux and Helga are Asmodee. Yeah.
Cool.
Or at least Helga is. I'm not sure about Lux. I'm pretty sure Lux is. But yeah, so he's on there talking about it. It's partially German, partially English, as Bartender said. It is, you know, Bartender there said about, so some of it's about product releases and release schedules, because of course this is Asmodee. This is the people delivering the game. They can talk about release schedules.
Look like difference.
They can talk about this kind of thing. So I do recommend you check that interview out if you're interested. I need to go back and actually listen to it properly. So yeah,
had no idea. Completely gone went way over my head. So
there you go. Lux is the project manager, so he knows stuff. So this is the thing, right? They are doing all of this talk, and this is what I wanted to kind of like shout about, is that they are doing all these things. And again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about something upcoming with the guild that the guild's going to be doing, but we know that they are looking to talk to people. They are looking to hype the game. They want to enjoy the game. They want for people to get back into it. But as
not
you
me,
said,
they don't want to talk to me.
I know they don't. Yeah, because no one wants to talk to you except me.
Mickey didn't even want to talk to me.
Not really. The point is that they're looking to do all this stuff. They may keep this up, and if they do, fantastic. Take my hands off the wheel there and say, great. You know what? And that's why I asked the question in the Q&A session: are you going to keep these going? When can we expect more of these? Are they going to stay up? And if they keep doing these, even if it's once a month Q&A sessions or once every 2 months Q&A sessions, I'd rather once every month. and then do all these like visions or just general just article releases that are just like, what, I was interested, I looked into playing Targaryens, and this is what I found with the Targaryens from a developer's perspective about what they were thinking. Fine. Yeah, great. It might not have much substance to it. There might not be much new information there, but at least they're doing something.
I mean, Bartender says, it's not super interesting.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they're doing it. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
That's what's interesting, and almost, it's the thought that counts in a lot of these cases. That they're trying and putting the effort into that really matters. Matters. So,
it really does.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what January. I feel like I say that every month or whatever. January is going to be super important. Are they going to follow through on these promises of people's expectations? Are people's expectations of things being delivered going to be delivered?
Well, we've actually got a double whammy here, right?
Turn up. What? Sorry.
We've got a double whammy here. We've got the rule book by the end of. They said the end of this month. So the way I'm looking at that, this could be a Christmas gift Thursday. There could be Christmas gift this Thursday or a New Year's thing next week. That might be a little bit of a push, like, because they said that in the Q&A. I don't know what they're planning. They probably already had something in mind. Not sure. Anyway, rulebook at the end of this month, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
then
guys, don't let us down on that. You know what I mean? Like you said before the end of the year, so don't let your date slip.
Then
rulebook.
Here's the big one. This is actually the bigger one. Are we going to see Mother of Dragons? And are we going to see Pikemen? Was it Pikemen, I believe? And are we going to see Mammoths actually get released in January? Because they were all pushed back.
And they're in the app.
And they're in the app. And some people have got them. Some people actually have them now. And they were sold by... Yeah, you've got them.
I've got them. Only because I got them imported.
Yeah. And I've got a Mammoth sat in your house right now, haven't I? I need to come and pick up. The point is that these things have got to land January. And it's all well and good talking about faction card packs. It's all well and good talking about other things, this, that, and the other. Greg's saying he's got dragons and, mammoths. So, yeah. They've just got to hit. The funny thing is, I actually don't mind if they don't hit all of them. What I want them to do is hit some of them. And then if they don't hit other ones, give us a reason why not. Like, just say, look, guys, this issue's caused this. We saw that a little bit with the original delay that they said, oh, look, we kind of... But the thing is that if you actually look at what was said, they basically said, we don't want the stuff to be sold yet.
How are we talking about this again? I can't believe we're talking about this.
Let's not. Let's move on. Anyway, the point is, they've got to hit these dates.
Who knows what will happen? Who knows? We can only desperately hope. Honestly, partly because I have them, I'd totally forgotten that Mother of Dragons was delayed.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten that they're not out yet. I'd forgotten that these things, like, are they going to come in parallel with Greyjoys or after them or what? But all we can say is we'll wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't yet found a place to pre-order Greyjoys myself, which makes me feel like they're not close.
I've got a place to pre-order Greyjoys. Do you want me to give you the link?
Yeah, probably. I'll have to...
This is just the UK. No, it's alright. Oh, that's my email address, great. Everyone's gonna hack that one. That's really.
Are you going to Gaming Figs?
Yeah, Gaming Figs. There you go. They've got them up. Cool. Everyone now knows my address and everything. Oh well, I've screwed that one up, haven't I?
Yep.
Take that in post.
We'll screenshot that. Place it everywhere.
I know, right?
Okay. Why don't we talk
the cards? You haven't actually said what you think about the cards.
What? Which cards?
The tactics
the one
cards.
Card from each faction?
Yeah. Real quick. Subjugation of power. Yay, nay.
I'll have Wealth of the Rock back, please.
Okay.
Same as everybody else.
Winter's Might, better than Northern Frostity. Same thing. Basically the same thing.
I'm gonna make a huge admission. I haven't read them. I haven't read them. I only read the Lannister one, and
it's a bit awkward.
It tells you a little bit. Yeah, it is awkward. It is actually awkward. I haven't read them. That's how much I don't believe it's soon. I don't care about a card which comes out in 4 months' time. I don't care. I don't want to read it and make judgments on one card out of a deck, which I'm not going to see for another 4 months. Saw it, forget it. Wasn't actually interested enough to read the cards because I know I've been asking for them or whatever. I'm not that interested in spoilers. I'm interested in the fact that spoilers lead to a product. So I want the product.
No,
I haven't read them.
no, Charles, he
I
wasn't
noticed
actually.
that one. I like the neutral one. I forget what it's called.
Meticulous
I like that it
planning.
has. I like that it's got an actual dual trigger split. It looks far clearer, much better formatted, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I noticed that. Did I hear people talking about the fact that the Night's Watch card no longer is attached to zones?
It's also, they got rid of the Val mechanic. They're all just attach.
The entire Val mechanic. Okay,
Yep.
interesting.
So you just attach it and it stays there for the rest of the game. So we're going to see weaker Night's Watch cards. That's the back of that, right? They're all of the White Night's Watch cards are going to be weaker because you can have infinite number of them in theory.
Okay. Yeah. Like a few people are saying, yes, I live in the now. And buy in the now, and so much WoW. Yeah, like actually, so much WoW. That's the now that I live in. I just play WoW all day. But yeah, some people, either care or don't care. And Wesker, Carl mentions that the physical packs coming Q2, we could still be absolutely thrown. I could be totally wrong, and we could be absolutely amazed when they actually release all this stuff through War Council, because they could, and it would be amazing if they put it on War Council at the same time as they put the 1.7 rulebook up, because the two things should go together, in my opinion.
That would actually be phenomenal. And
yeah, it would be. That would be game changer. I would care so much more than it would get rid of a lot of my apprehension at the moment.
I think another thing, guys, for those of you that hear, obviously, usually you'll be invested in the TTS scene. We can now pretty much definitively say that they are interested and aware and very much happy with the TTS scene the way it is at the moment. In terms of like people playing the game, people testing things out. What? Why do you think that is?
We?
Yeah, I think we can. Because, and I think this is a big read into what they've released with Greyjoys. They released the full tactics deck. They released all of the base commanders.
Yeah, okay,
They've now released all the units, and it would not be a surprise to literally anybody if tomorrow the article we see tomorrow is the NCUs.
Yeah.
And what they'll say, and it's for
everything. They're showing both sides of the cards, and they're showing points card, which they previously kind of hid on some units to avoid them being used. But when you show the points cast, you're saying, I do agree. I was like, what? But when you show a points cast, you sort of say, yeah, go and use it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Whether that be complete proxies on the table or through TTS, you're saying, go and give it a go.
They aren't stupid. They know that the TTS exists, and they know that people are playing on TTS, or at least they should do.
Well,
it's talked about in Discord enough, which
let's
I know
not
they
pretend
watch.
that they don't play it themselves all the time on TTS.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they probably play They almost certainly play test on TTS all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, if you have them on Discord, you can see that they're playing the mod on TTS. And they do.
Yes.
So let's not pretend that they don't play the TTS mod.
Well done, bartender, by the way. I know he's probably still watching.
As always.
So yeah, Greyjoys, things like that. Great. Any other news that's happened last week? No. I mean, well, yes. In the UK, Christmas basically got
an hour
cancelled.
and 10 minutes in, and we've just managed to get through the news section of the site of Tourney Ground.
Well, we had
It had Christmas cancelled this week, wasn't it, Mickey?
It was going to be a short one. But then we had a surprise guest that I literally had about 2 minutes to prepare for, and he was great. So, yeah.
So the other thing that finished was the Northern Front tournament.
Yes, the Northern
Front.
Right.
Don't forget, throwback to. We haven't talked about it a lot because neither of us are in it, basically.
Well, it's not just that.
Neither of us actually signed up in the end, which means that we semi forgot about it. It's been going on the down low, but it was actually had good number of entries in the end.
26.
it was an interesting tournament. Remember, it was if you're below a certain ELO rating, you can play as whatever you want. If you're above a certain ELO rating, you will be assigned a random commander, a random faction. Sorry, not including Starks, Targaryens, or Free Folk. Off the top of my head, we see Griffin win with Night's Watch. I had a look at his profile. So I've seen Griffin's name tons of times before, but obviously never seen him win. I say obviously, I've not seen him win an event before. So it's really great to see him take the win here. I looked at his profile. He is a dedicated Night's Watch player. So I'm gonna assume that he was able to pick Night's Watch. After winning the event, his rating is now over the requirement. But yeah, really interesting to see Night's Watch with those Watch Marshals take a win.
Yeah. In case you're wondering what the hell is we're seeing an Unsullied Pikeman on here, the reason I remember this, I was reading Discord earlier today, and this is the first model that Griffin's painted for a Song of Ice and Fire Miniatures. It's literally the very first model that Griffin has painted, and I thought, well, why not? We're talking about him. There he is. There's his first model, an Unsullied Pikeman. I have to admit, he tried eyes. Right, for a first model, is trying eyes. That's ballsy.
That's coming in on expert mode.
Yeah,
you know?
But the shield's lovely. The shield and the decal he's got on there is absolutely fantastic. And for a first mini, thumbs up from me. So yeah, well done.
Griffin, advice on the eyes. Well, for a start, they're super hard because they're sunk into the helmet. So let's not even talk about the fact that they're really hard eyes. But you want to paint the white as a horizontal line, and then you paint the black as a vertical line to do the dot. Don't try and do a dot and then a dot. We paint a white line and then a black line, and it'll be much cleaner. So if you are actually trying to do eyes, that's the best way. But it's almost impossible. Or the real skill is getting the two eyes to look in the same direction.
I have many models where they're looking like that.
And yeah, I'm an okay painter when I want to be. I still avoid eyes because the time and effort generally doesn't improve the model that much.
I find myself
don't do them like Bruce says.
I was doing some eyes the other day on a model, and I gave up. It's Raid Leader, right? And if I hold him really close to the camera, which you can't zoom in on his face, he hasn't got eyes anymore because I did them once and then I had to go back over and repaint his skin in and then I was like, oh my god, now I've painted his eyes. I just can't be asked. But yeah, we're getting there. So Griffin, well done for winning a tournament with Night's Watch.
Mother of Dragons second.
Yeah.
Again,
as well.
Always second place. or never the bride, always the bridesmaid so far. But we see, as we were talking about, we see Night's Watch putting some moves in here. We see Night's Watch, Targaryen, Night's Watch. So pretty interesting. It is interesting that when you say that the highest rated players in the tournament aren't allowed to play Starks, Free Folk, or Mothers of Dragons, Night's Watch, your next best thing. That's what we've been talking about. Night's Watch are in there as pretty competitively playable right now. And we see Night's Watch, Targs, Night's Watch, Lannister, Night's Watch, Targs, Night's Watch, they're there. So particularly if you're gonna cap off the things above them, Night's Watch are big winners.
Yeah, cool.
And he's from Mythicos, Griffin. From
your friends over at Mythicos.
Yep, our friends at the guild.
So I'll just send him a nice message there. Because I think it is good to get people's miniatures on display when we can. Check out the Tale of X Gamers right on Instagram. Let's just have a quick head over there. Have you done your Instagram pledge yet?
What? Oh, I was like, I don't use Instagram.
You do? Well, no, you don't. But you've got
you mean my Tale of Painters?
Yeah. Have you done yours yet?
Well, no, I mean it's getting there.
By it's getting there, do you mean have you started it yet?
Yeah. So, did you not see? I gave my. Can we even see it? Yeah, there we go. See, I gave my Champions of the Stag swords.
That's a good start. Oh yeah, no, I remember you saying that. Yeah.
Because every model in my Baratheon army doesn't have a hammer. Actually, every single model in my Baratheon army has a sword. Yeah. So Champions of the Stag, they're built and they're sprayed, and I'm starting to do the yellow, which is going to be the long bit. Quite a few layers on every yellow. So
Yeah. Definitely check these guys out, by the way. So obviously we're doing some stuff, but look at that. Yannick's Dragons.
That dragon by Yannick's absolutely lovely.
It's absolutely phenomenal.
Where did he get dragons?
I know. I did some characters and a raider for a change. The West Coast
I
banner.
was about to say, they look really good.
What are those?
I didn't know they were yours.
Yeah. Mate,
Yeah.
actually spending some time on some stuff now. What else we got? Oh, this. Look at that, Dario. That was a mid-paint like progress thing, but look at that. That's absolutely
Whitney, right?
phenomenal. That's Tim, right? It's always Tim. Tim always does great stuff. Anyway, yeah, check him out. Check out all the great stuff there. It's great for getting painting ideas as well. Van obviously getting his thens done, which is great to see as well. Is that George's Stag Knights, or Champions of Stag?
Yeah, but they got hammered.
And then they do, and then that was Demzak's Rose Knights as well. Anyway, right. So we'll go back to talking about stats, shall we?
Are we still talking about tournaments? Because there is actually another interesting tournament to talk about.
There is.
Which is Wolves Howling is now in its last week. Wolves Howling has something really interesting going on, which I know about because it involves me.
Are we just talking about you again?
So
we just
I would
spend
only
the next
know
hour
the
talking about you.
intricacies of this.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean that's what this entire channel's about. Talking about me. So obviously, I'm only aware of just the intricacies of how this happened because it's my score, which I've tracked very closely. But Wolves Howling is, of course, one of the first ELO rated events.
Yep.
And something pretty interesting has occurred, which is that I'm playing the bottom rated commander in the whole game, Stannis Rightful Heir. And after 4 games, I'm sat in second place above a couple of people who have won 4 out of 4 games. But I actually have only won 3 out of 4 games. So I've won 3 out of 4 games with the lowest rated commander. And that has put me just above people who have won 4 out of 4 games with high rated commanders. And that is exactly what the ELO system is trying to achieve, which is that it's saying, yes, winning 4 times with Starks is the same as winning 3 times with Baratheons. Like, both are about as easy to achieve as each other. And very interestingly, Sajmaz is the person who beat me. I'm in second, he's in third. We have almost identical points, but he scores less points every single round than I do because I'm playing lower rated faction.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. There's 1 more round left. I play Bolton, Skincare, the big Sunday Slaughter himself, in a Baratheon mirror match. Presumably the winner will win the tournament, but it's not always guaranteed in the ELO because somebody below us could score significant points and jump past. Presumably not Sajmaz, though, because he's playing high-rated commanders.
It is Bolton Skinfer versus Carlo in a mirror, and it's Fire and Blood. Ooh, interesting.
Not quite a mirror. Neither of us have picked the same commanders at all. He's gone for a Davos Roos pairing. I went for Stannis and Renly. And it's Fire and Blood, and I think it's going to be a super interesting match. I'm really looking forward to it because it's not one that I'd be able to predict, particularly if other people were playing. I
really like his.
I can predict I'll beat Bolton, right?
Yeah, I think you can beat Bolton. He's not very good. Never lost him.
I hope he's listening. He was before.
He was. All right, so yeah, Wolves Howling. We'll obviously check with that in next Tourney Ground, and we will see what's going on with that.
Should be finished in roughly a week. I think Forioka is going to let the last round kind of run a bit late, but particularly because of Christmas and all that kind of stuff.
It's good question.
It uses old. It uses old Red Priestess. The changed card came out a week after.
There's Sunday for you. There's Chris Tran.
There's Sunday.
Just he's not very good. Don't worry. Don't worry.
We'll see what happens, mate.
All right then. Okay. Is there anything else to talk about in terms of all of that? I don't think there is there?
Just the World Cup, I guess.
Yeah, just the World Cup, which with all the sweet, lovely news that there is, there's always something bad to talk about. The sweet news of me getting my hair cut, followed by the bad news of we've needed to concatenate the World Cup into kind of 3 events, kind of. Uh,
Probably 2.
it's probably going to go down
The
to 2.
Australia Oz don't have enough people. I'm currently just discussing with their 6 entrants which of the 2 regions they want to go into. Whereas there were 2 EU ones and 2 NA ones, East and West Coast, East and West Europe. They just merged into a single E1 and a single NA. Whereas I didn't just want to tell the Australians which event they're going into.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking roughly around 80 people at the moment. I really do hope that it goes higher, because that is not as big a World Cup as I hoped. That's not any bigger than tournaments that we've run in the past, that NRG's run in the past. So, yeah, I think that people are waiting, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I went off on a bit of a tangenty discussion slash, bit of a rant in that nothing's coming, guys, for another 4 months. I feel like people are waiting for this change, like it's about to happen next week, but we're not going to see a change for the next 4 months. This is what we have. We'll have a new rule book, and we'll be playing with the new rule book. We'll be allowing Greyjoys. We'll be adding them to the builder, and we'll be adding them to the site. We're just waiting. I'm just waiting to see the NCUs tomorrow or whenever. And then, still ducking his Patreon Cup game. Yeah, there's Patreon Cup is also going on. I'm actually playing Patreon Cup almost straight after this.
Who are you playing?
And yeah, so I'm a little bit unsure of what people are waiting for with the World Cup. They feel like they're waiting for faction packs. But if you're waiting for faction packs, then we're not going to play another competitive game for another 6 months, because you'll have to have faction packs, then organize a tournament once you see them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an old one. It's going to be an odd one. I'm in for it. Obviously, we're in for it with the long haul as things stand. But it's going to be an interesting one. I think we spoke about it earlier on the session. If you missed all the talk we had about the things we talked about earlier, go check the VOD. Go back on YouTube and go back and see what we said. But yeah, we'll obviously check up on it. We'll check up on all the tournaments. We'll catch up with everything that's going on for what little will be going on over the next kind of couple of weeks. And then when most of these events ending, we are seeing the events starting to end. We are looking into early January at this point, and we will see just how many tournaments or not end up taking up the space, or whether or not the World Cup is the only tournament in January, and we'll see a massive surge in the week up to January. We'll see.
Obviously, it was first, organized for November, and it moved to be further away from the TSL because people said that they didn't want a tournament yet, and then we saw a ton of tournaments fill the space instantly. So it's the only thing in the calendar right now. There's Adepticon, which has been cancelled. If people don't know, I don't know if we've really talked about that, but Adepticon Adepticon as a convention is kaput for 2021. COVID claims another victim.
Can we say what we know about Adepticon?
I don't know what we know. I honestly don't know what we know. I believe Brett is running a small physical tournament.
Yeah, Brett's going to be running a small physical tournament, COVID allowing. Obviously, all details and everything is not currently worked out, guys, so don't ask us any information about it. We don't know anything yet, but there is going to be a tournament running in place of Adepticon, and Brett is working on that to try and get that working to the point where it's going to be hopefully.
So we'll have not Adepticon following on from not Gen Con.
But there is potentially space for us to run an online variant in the same way that the one-day/weekend variant was run. So we could have an online tournament running opposite Adepticon. And we'll see how that gets managed. There's kind of like some testing in the water that needs to be done with exactly how that's going to work. But the guild will be sorting that out, and we'll be bringing you all of that stuff on Tourney Ground as well. But I don't want to say too much about it because it's obviously not set in stone. We don't even know if it's going to happen yet. We're waiting on a couple of things to get sorted. But there is going to be an
original date are Q1. So we're still talking no faction packs, guys. We're still talking no big changes, unless we see them on War Council.
Yeah, definitely. Okay then. Okay, so it's been a bit of a strange stream today. I've been in my worktop.
Yeah.
I've been showing you all kinds of weird and wonderful things on screen. We've had visitors
Mickey's
from
had a haircut.
France. I've had a haircut. Carlo's still an arse. And any lasting thoughts?
At least there's some constants in the world, yeah.
I know,
At least
right?
there's some things you can rely on.
So before we go, Carlo, are you now going to go and either head to Twitch and check out that Asmodee Twitch stream, or maybe read some tactics cards that may or may not be being released at some point, or are you just going to go and play more WoW?
Well, hey, that sounded accusational. I'll actually
It is.
be gonna go eat some food, and then I'll be playing a game on TTS, which is more than both of them. I'll actually be playing a Song of Ice and Fire.
That's fair enough. I can't
Yeah,
complain.
I have
about
my Patreon Cup game tonight as soon as Death 1942 gets up. He of course is in Australia, so he'll let me know when he's got up in the morning, and we'll play. We'll see. It was interesting actually. So he's playing in 2 ELO events. I played him in the last round of Wolves Howling. He was playing Lannisters. I'm also playing him in Patreon Cup, where he's playing Lannisters. But in one matchup, I played him with Baratheons, and now I'm about to play him with Targaryens. So we'll see what happens. I've been done over, as many other people have, with the Targaryens, which is when I picked them, they were very lowly rated. I picked Dario, who was at the time the second lowest rated commander in the game, and I forget who else I picked. I don't think I picked Mother Dragons.
You picked Queen of Marine, didn't you? I think.
Yeah, no,
No.
I was going to say I wasn't. It definitely wasn't Mother Dragons. I wasn't sure if it was Queen of Marine. Yeah, I think the other one's Queen of Marine. So, but now Dario is actually, just by the sheer fact of
being in
Targaryen
Targaryen,
so much, he's actually quite highly rated.
Well, minus 40. It's not exactly high, but you know.
Okay, but significantly higher now than Tywin is.
Oh, Jesus. Tywin and Stannis, you cannot see them on the screen there, guys, but just Stannis at rightful heir is minus 154. Tywin is minus 128. Right now, looking at it, if you play Howland versus Stannis rightful heir, the difference is 350 ELO. That means that if there's a 50-point ELO difference between your skill level and your opponent, let's say you're 50 ELO better than your opponent, then your overall ELO will be 400 better than your opponent, which is one standard deviation from... No, it's not one standard deviation, is it? No, it is one standard deviation.
Here we are with the super interesting maths. This is the thing. This is
90% win rate. But what I mean is
this is what brings the viewers in.
Yeah, it is. But what I mean is, if you were to play Howland and you're slightly better than your opponent, and your opponent's playing Stannis rightful heir, your win rate's 90%.
It's not actually technically. It's not the biggest gap that's ever existed. The biggest gap that ever existed was Howland / Rob at 220, down to a minus 180 Drogo. They used to have a pure difference of 400. Yeah. So 350 is supposedly better balance. It's not actually true. It's hidden by the fact that Mother of Dragons is kind of shifting everything around, and it will actually settle back to a worse position, I'm pretty sure. But
she's fourth.
That's a whole different maths thing.
Yeah. Anyway, we will leave it there for this week, guys. Thank you very much, as always, for joining us on the Tourney Ground. Check out the World Cup. Tell people to sign up to the World Cup. The sooner the better.
Come join the World Cup. Save us from the mediocrity of the amount of people who are entering the World Cup.
Yes.
Because I'd really like it to be really, really big. It's a bit unfortunate, maybe with the timing, maybe with whatever, but we can't constantly push it back and wait for things. We can't wait for faction packs. We can't wait for more updates. That's months away. If we keep waiting, we'll never play. So we're playing in January for the regionals. Sign up and play. There'll be no better tournament to play in, I promise you.
Definitely not. And with that, I will leave you. Carlo will say goodbye. And are we doing a show next week, Carlo? What was the verdict on that?
Yeah, I think so. I got nowhere better to be.
I've got literally many places I could be, except legally I'm not allowed to be. So yeah, next week, guys, we'll be back with some kind of weird Boxing Day extended weirdo stream thing. We'll do a summary of the year as a whole. We'll talk about some of the last kind of tournament roundup bits, and we'll generally just have a laugh as we always do. So thanks a lot, guys, for tuning in, and we will see you next week.